Okay, hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is gonna be our first video under my YouTube channel. The reason why I want to start making YouTube videos, or at least document some of the stuff I want to talk about, is mainly kind of talking through my long-standing injury. And I thought this would be a great video for a long-form content. These won't be crazy edited. Just gonna be me talking over some topics and points with the goal of helping you guys just improve your ability to continue powerlifting despite having some obstacles and adversities, right? So let's kind of break it down. So I wrote some topics down, kind of going over this stuff. We're gonna break it down through like, what injury did I have? What did I sustain? What were some benefits in what I tried to do to get better, and how to kind of get through that mental component of injuries that I think everyone does struggle with. But I will say injuries are one of those things that the only way to learn from injuries is to kind of get hurt. So no matter what I say in this video, it could be applicable for you, but understand that until you actually get injured, or until you experience this for longer than 6 months, 8 months, a year, you won't truly understand what it means or what it feels like. So just want to preface that here. So let's talk about injury. So I competed at 2023 Nationals and hit one of the biggest totals I ever hit in my life. Actually, to this day, it's still the biggest total. 800 kilos, really cool milestone. Past that point, about a few months later, I started just accumulating some wear and tear. My hip started hurting, kind of the outer glute area, and that limited me a ton with my training. So essentially what happened was I couldn't really squat or deadlift without some glute pain. It wasn't to the point where I couldn't squat or deadlift at all, but it was to the point that it limited the ability for me to push and ultimately just try to actually train, right? Which was hard. I've experienced injuries in the past, and the last injury I had was in 2020, and that one was a longer standing one, but because it was during COVID, felt like it was a lot easier to manage because there was no meets, there was no competition to compare to, and I found myself just like having a much harder time this go around with injuries, mainly because there's twofold. One, I'm a full-time coach, so for me to be hurt for a long time kind of means like, can I get better? Does that mean I don't know what I'm doing, or whatever that means? So that imposter syndrome does happen, and it's tough. So what I did was me and my coach, Matt Cronin, kind of just diversified a plan. We gave a bunch of different exercises to try to just find stuff that would alleviate pain and symptoms. I'm not going to go too into the weeds with it. I worked with his physio, Corey, which helped me quite a bit, kind of like find some solutions to an extent, but there was never anything that was like long-lasting solutions. Just couldn't find the right things to feel better. I've seen a few other physios, and nothing was clicking, and pain just kept kind of spiraling. I would have moments where like things started feeling okay, and then things would just sidetrack, and it just wasn't good. So let's talk about some of like the takeaways you guys can get from this video, because I don't want to talk too much about like the exact progression of my rehab. I want to talk more about like what you guys can do and how you could find purpose through times where it might be exhausting. You might be injured for a very long time. So one is for the mental component. Something I struggled with a lot was seeing other competitors that I compete with literally surpass my numbers, surpass my total, and ultimately seeing them hit these crazy PRs on Instagram didn't feel too good, was not helpful. So one of the first strategies I always recommend for everyone is, it's not necessarily to like limit social media use, but like it's kind of like an opportunity for you to like touch grass and like honestly just like learn how to just navigate finding other hobbies, finding other things to do with your life that are going to keep you busy outside the gym. So obviously in the gym, you're going to focus on your rehab. You're going to do the due diligence from sleep, nutrition, etc. But outside of those hours, I highly recommend that you like touch grass and try to find a hobby. Some hobbies I found was like going hiking, got really obsessive with coffee, started reading more books and stuff, started playing some chess. I was just doing things to keep my mind off of powerlifting, and my mind off of coaching as well. Not off of coaching, but away from powerlifting was kind of the goal. And it was really helpful, but I still struggled to this day. And then beyond this mental side of things, this whole like, I feel good for a second, but then shit just starts hurting again. That like swinging back of emotions was really hard. And as someone who has joined powerlifting to be competitive, like obviously it's me versus me, that's cool. But I did join powerlifting to become the best version of myself, right? So that's something to consider, is that like when you're trying to compare yourself to others and you're not making progress and you're seeing people kind of just pass you, and you just can't even go to the gym and have a good session without pain, it's kind of hard to like the gym, right? So to the next point from a solution standpoint, and again, this isn't going to be a super orderly video, it's just going to be me kind of ranting and hopefully giving you guys some feedback, is I decided to treat the gym as a very curious and a learning and growth mindset. So I would literally go in the gym and I would research all these different ways to potentially rehab my solution or find exercises that allowed me to continue training. So I tried a bunch of different stuff to modify my symptoms, change my symptoms, and try to stack up these small wins. And bridging off that is by going to the gym, obviously work with a working professional that can help you and guide you through this process, but like you kind of have to F around to find out. So like I did a ton of like breathing drills, rudimentary low-level drills to just see if I can get some increased range of motion in the hip and just get some sensitivity kind of improved. And I'd try anything. And that kind of kept me going to the gym because I was kind of like, okay, if I can learn how to navigate this injury, I can help my clients. I could also help myself for future training, right? So I'd literally go in the gym, and I'm not saying I would do goofy shit, but like I would do some random, not random, but like directed stuff like split squat variations, hip shift variations, unilateral work, bilateral work. I would try different variations, and I would just explore movement. And by exploring movement and giving myself other ways to progress outside of just numbers in the gym, I was able to kind of like give myself some purpose to go to the gym. However, regardless, it was still really fucking hard, right? Like, it's not easy. So that's one component to it. The other one is like being able to surround yourself with a good community. If you have a home gym, it might be a little bit harder, but if you're in a powerlifting gym with a good community, there's gonna be sessions where you're gonna be like, F the gym, I don't want to be here anymore. But by surrounding yourself with a good community of lifters, I find it helps a ton because at least I can kind of shoot the shit with my friends, have it as like a social thing. Obviously, we're here to train, but there will be some social aspects to the gym. And when you're having a really bad day and injuries are flared up, well, you got people that are kind of supporting you and keeping you accountable towards your goals. So that's a huge help, I find. Furthermore, on the mental side, like I think a few of the things I definitely struggled with was like, I lost confidence in myself. I truly thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to hit a PR total ever again. Like, this might be it. Maybe that was literally the epitome of my performance, which sounds really depressing at the age of 27. But those are thoughts that run through my mind that will probably run through your mind as well. So the aspect of like injury is like, again, going back to the touching grass component is knowing that like I'm not just a powerlifter. I am Ian, I am a human. I am experiencing injuries that aren't necessarily improving my powerlifting, but there are other aspects of me that make me. And I think that was a huge psychological aspect of like, I do powerlifting, I'm not a power lifter. And I know some people will quantify themselves as a power lifter, and that's fine. But even the notion of telling myself, I do powerlifting, but I'm not a power lifter, just gave me this identity that's like, okay, like there's more to me than just like powerlifting, right? So this whole topic that I'm talking about is more on the mental side, not really the tangible side of things. And then beyond that, I talked about, like I said, finding other hobbies was really helpful, having a more balanced life. And the biggest one is having that burning why. One of the biggest things that kept me in the gym was knowing that regardless of if I do powerlifting or not, I am going to keep going to the gym because I do it for my health. I started going to the gym for my health. I did it so I can obviously like continue to build my health so when I'm older, like I'm not crippled and in a wheelchair, right? So like no matter if I even quit powerlifting or if I continue powerlifting, I knew I was going to be in the gym anyway. So at that point, with my age and the lack of responsibilities I have have a job, but I don't have kids or anything, I thought to myself, okay, I can just keep trying and I will avoid social media, not avoid, but like try to limit that talk and just focus on like stacking these small little wins. And this is bringing to the main point I want to talk about is building and stacking small wins. It is so easy to get hurt and think about your all-time bests. One of the biggest things that helped me was creating goals and small wins that were in very small incremental patterns. So let's just make an example of this. I have hip pain. I can't squat my mat. I can't squat a new PR. I can't even do SBD. What can I do? Well, step one is I need to get out of pain. So like frick SBD, like screw all that shit, right? Like you need to get out of pain. So how do you get out of pain? Well, you modify exercise to find pain-free ranges of motion. And your sole goal is, can I stack up 2 weeks of doing some form of a squat, some form of a bench, some form of a deadlift without pain? That could be tempo, other exercises, whatever it be. When you do hit those 2 weeks of pain free, it's very easy to be like, well, I'm so far away. Like literally, I'm fucking 300 kilos off of my squat, 100 kilos off of my bench, but at least I'm lifting pain free. By kind of removing yourself from your identity and even removing yourself from your old past as a powerlifter and thinking of this as a new beginning kind of gives you a bit more of that like reset button. So having that reset button was really helpful for me. So there was a point after like 8 months of this shit, I was like, you know what, we need to press the reset button. So the reset button was, I don't care what I've done in the past. I need to do what I can to get out of pain and just keep moving forward and taking these small 1% improvements each week, and that would eventually compound. And then bridging off this, I continued to seek education. So I'd educate myself through the internet, through mentorships. I took, shout out to Jamie Smith, J Smith Culture on Instagram. I took his mentorship, movement mentorship, and he helped me a lot with just looking at my lifts and kind of figuring out, okay, like from a movement perspective, like what are we seeing? And we found some common things that we could work on. And I was like, sick, I feel like I have some purpose and I have like a direction. So being able to find direction through mentorship, whether it's through education, paying for that education, I think is ultimately worth it, especially if it's a sport that you really like. And obviously for me, the more I educate myself, the more I can help my clients. So being able to stack those small wins and take those small percentages was a huge thing for me, and further educating yourself and just knowing that like it's not over, you just got to keep going. And then beyond this, once I got to about November of 2024, I actually started getting out of pain. Probably in actually like October of 2024. I think I slowly started to not get pain. And I was doing a few exercises that were really helping a ton. I'm not going to go into the biomechanics of that, but just generally speaking, I found some strategies that helped me lift somewhat pain-free. And I was like, sick, amazing. But the only difference was I was weak as shit. So it would be easy for me to be like, well, I'm incredibly weak right now. I'm depressed, but I was so grateful that I was able to just like do a damn squat and do a deadlift without pain for like the first time in like 18 months. Like it was crazy. So I was incredibly grateful for that. And I told myself like, I don't care what my maxes are. Like I'll get back there one day. Like at least I'm pain free. I just need to build from there. And then from there, we linearly progressed, continued the rehab exercises I was doing that worked. And again, these rehab exercises I was doing in the past, but I wasn't really doing them correctly. And that's where I learned a lot of that from his mentorship, Jamie Smith's mentorship, which was helpful. But ultimately, like by me not trying to seek ways to like solve this solution, I would have gave up and quit. And looking back on it now, if I would have quit after 6 months, maybe I would have never seen what my body's potential is. And I know there's more potential for my body. Like I know I can do a ton more. It's just, this is just a tougher moment in my career, and everyone's going to have those times in their career, and that's what's going to test you and see if you can actually continue to do it, right? And then beyond that, I ended up signing up for nationals. I signed up super fucking weak. I think I touched maybe 240 kilos for like maybe a triple, and like that's 60 kilos below my all-time best squat, right? So that's quite a ways away. Shoulder injuries I always had, they were always off and on. Same thing with the deadlifts. I think the heaviest deadlift I hit was a 270 kilo deadlift, and like my max is 325. So we are like a ways away. Had 12 weeks to prep, had really great training, no flare-ups, which was amazing. Got to the meet day, managed to actually go 8 for 9, be 10 kilos under my all-time best, hit an all-time best squat PR for the first time in 2 years, which was freaking awesome. Felt so good. Probably the best moment of my powerlifting career, despite it being only a 2.5 kilo PR, which kind of reminds ourselves that like, reminded me that like, this 2 years was really freaking hard, man. Like this shit was so difficult. But through friendships, community, and my coach and my physio and just anyone who like helped me in some capacity, or at least tried to, they gave me hope. And what I recommend for you guys, if you're going through a long-standing injury like that, is one, find help. Support yourself with a like-minded community, because I'm telling you this, you cannot go through injury by yourself. It's not going to work out. It's usually going to be a nightmare. You need to have those people in your corner to help you out. And then beyond that, understand that powerlifting is one aspect of your life. The more you can treat it as one aspect of your life and have other aspects of your life that are going well, by doubling down on that, that makes the part of going to the gym easier, in my opinion. Whereas if all you have to give in life is powerlifting, which again sounds insane, but you'd be surprised how much you get caught up in the sport when you're really high up into it and how obsessive you become. Like you end up scrolling social media a bunch, you freaking you go to the gym for hours and hours and hours, you talk to your friends about powerlifting, and like I highly recommend like touching grass really truly does help. So again, none of this is a big rant. It's like a 15-minute video at this point. It's a lot of verbiage, but I hope this just gives you guys a perspective on like how I felt during this process and how you may feel. Maybe you resonate with this. Maybe you have an injury similar to mine where it's been lasting years and years and you've lost hope and you're at the point where you're like, maybe I should just hang it up. And you know what? There's a few things I would say. One is it's okay to take a break. It's okay to just reset and like, even if you need it mentally. But completely leaving the sport, I think, is something I wouldn't quite recommend. I think you need to find your deeper why, your meaning behind it, and understand that life is actually very similar to injury and powerlifting. Is that like you're going to experience a ton of difficult times in your life, and it's going to test you, and you have to decide whether the obstacle is the way or you find something else and avoid the obstacle. For me, I tried to not avoid the obstacle. I decided to put it head on, and I would be reminiscent, or I would be like wrong to say that the last 2 years hasn't been easy. It's been really freaking hard, and I've struggled a lot, and it has not been easy, but I know with persistence and a true goal, a true why, breaking down that goal into small micro goals has helped me a ton with continuing to do the damn thing, because I know that there is untapped potential. And I know once I do leave the sport, I want to know for damn sure I put in my best effort. I didn't quit. I kept going. And I kind of proved to myself that I can keep going during hard times. So yeah, this is a longer form video for YouTube. Probably not going to edit it either. I will learn how to edit later. But if you guys enjoyed this, I think that wraps it up. Next comp I'm going to do is probably going to be in July. I might document that a little bit, or August maybe. I'll do a local meet where I will actually PR my total from 2 years ago, and I will blow it out of the water, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So again, this is a big rant. If you enjoyed it, if you like my rambling, if you found it helpful, obviously leave a comment, shoot me a message. Totally down to help. But I will summarize this video into 3 main points, and I will shut up after that. So first main point is find your deeper why. You got to figure out why you like training, and you need to double down on that. Secondly, find a community, find peer support, find a good physio, find a good coach that will help you and guide you through this process. And third is get some freaking hobbies. Like find other things outside of lifting to keep you going with life, because if one aspect of your life isn't going well, but the other 2 aspects that are like true hobbies, because powerlifting, if you take it to the deep level, it's a hobby, but it's low-key a job at that point. If you have those other 2 hobbies that you do simply for fun, double down on those. And yeah, if you do all those 3 things and you are, you kind of relay the idea that like you can start over as a powerlifter in terms of being that hurt, I think that will help you a lot with perspective versus constantly trying to have this negative mindset of comparing yourself to your all-time best, because that is not good. Those negative mindsets are not helpful, and I would say they're more detrimental and will probably cause you to be too pessimistic and kind of resent the sport. And that's something I did not want to do. I did not want to resent the sport. So anyways, that's it for today. If you have any other video topics, put it in the comments below, and we will kind of take it from there. Anyways,